so much. Thank you for accepting our invitation. I know that despite your very busy schedule, you could allocate some time to be part of this graduation ceremony. Thank you so much, Dr. Richard. It's good to have you on the call. Good evening, sir.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel, and to the graduating class, congratulations to all of you, not just for attending this, but I cannot start off without actually acknowledging the organizers of this event today, and all distinguished graduates, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor for me, not just to be here as a keynote, but also to challenge you because you are entering into a space in which the reality of the world is not what we see each and every day. But things are not actually going the way they're supposed to go. But I'll start off with this African proverb, which tells us that take without forgetting and give without remembering. This African proverb underscores my message to you today, our distinguished graduates, and it is summarized in one word: selflessness. Today, you are before us as grateful and proud graduates of the African Sustainable Development Goals. And this Sustainable Development Goals mentorship program is very timely. But the question is, how many of you have taken the time to think of the physical and emotional costs it took to organize this fellowship program? How many have thought of the daily acts of selflessness for the 6 months of this program? I bet most of you have not. The passing forward, that seed of selflessness is the paradigm shift we need towards realizing and achieving the Sustainable Development Goals in the African continent. 2 months ago, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the United Nations released the 2023 Africa SDG report, whose message was unequivocally clear. It was what I call bittersweet. Accordingly, while the continent's SDGs progress is reported as uneven, there is a glimmer of hope to meet the 2030 deadline. But only with accelerated efforts can we be able to do this. And it is in accelerating these efforts that your direct selfless inputs are urgently needed today. Just imagine for a moment this aspect. Africa faces up to 1.2 trillion US dollars financing gap to actualize the Sustainable Development Goals in the next 7 years from today. But however, the traditional mainstream financing approaches remain skewed against the continent. For example, out of the 650 billion in special drawing rights issued by the International Monetary Fund, Africa, despite being the most at-need region, received just 4.5%, which is about 33 billion US dollars. These uneven physical access provide, even in cases of global emergencies where Africa faces heightened risk. If you take an example, which is a practical reality, what we all know is that while the total physical measures taken to respond to the COVID-19 global emergency amounted to 17 billion US dollars, Africa, which holds up to 17% of the global population, received only 0.5% of this amount, which is about 89 billion US dollars. So the writing is on the wall. Closing the implementation gaps towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals in Africa calls us to a paradigm shift. Yes, it is an urgent paradigm shift that each and every one of us need to understand, one that goes beyond physical resources towards prioritizing the continent's sovereign capital, an aspect that we hardly talk about, an aspect that we wait to be told before we talk about, rather than talking about it as proud citizens of the world and proud Africans. And today I'm challenging you to understand that finances goes beyond just liquid cash. It is about resources that we hold in the continent called sovereign capital, which is its people. Africa's people are the biggest sovereign capital, you and me. We are the most critical means to close the implementation gap of the Sustainable Development Goal. Because world studies globally record the human capital, which is people and the skills and the energy and the interest they embody, up to 15 times the value of natural resources that Africa prides itself in, and up to 4 times the value of manufactured capital, which are the industries, the modern cities, and the infrastructure that Africa aspires to have. What this tells us is that leveraging human capital our ability, our skills and talents is the most foundational form of capital, and being the youngest continent in the world, today with a population over 60% being youthful, endowed with this human capital, you and me, all the distinguished graduates today embodies the opportunities that are needed for the continent to drive the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. Your selfless engagement in enterprise activities in key Sustainable Development Goals catalytic areas stand out as the most practical pathway towards Africa's achievement of the SDGs. Anything less than this will be lip service. It will be music to the ears. For example, if you take our food systems today, which offers the most significant return at about 30%, infrastructure engagements are the next in line with an offer 25% return towards the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. Clean energy is also high with about a 10% return. These areas represent enterprise sectors that your selfless effort will be focused on to create solutions that impact lives and drive the realization of the Sustainable Development Goals. I'm talking of very simple, accessible solutions, not complicated things, because as Africans, we love to hear about complication, right? Things that can only be made elsewhere and brought to the continent, rather than thinking of what I call accessible, low capital intensive solutions that each and every one of us can embark on. We don't even hear this narrative, but yet we like to embrace what I call complicated thinking and complicated solutions that we will not even be able to have access to. Today I'm challenging each and every one of you. As a son of this continent, I have lived and I grew up in this continent. I understand a thing or two, but what solutions are in us. Now we take these food systems and taking accessible, simple enterprise areas of recovering agricultural waste. Organic fertilizer production can substitute to 50% of chemical fertilizer needs, and the market is growing by up to 10.9% compounded rate globally, and up to 11.9% in the continent. And this can create up to 560% in profitability. In addition, a growing market segment of consumers ready to pay up to 3 times the price of conventional food for certified organic, healthy and environmentally compliant food. We are seeing it, and these are enterprise opportunities that could be realized to achieve Goal 1, Goal 2, and Goal 13 among key ones. But if we look at clean energy today, decentralizing simple solar dryers, which through our work, we've not only guided youth to be able to repull their skill to be able to fabricate these solar dryers, but we are seeing that they are capable of lowering the risk of aflatoxins that are poisoning up to 50% of our brothers and sisters in communities. Increasing the life shell of perishables to cut post-harvest losses using these solar dryers have shown to increase earnings by up to 30 times and mitigate up to 200,000 tons of carbon output. These opportunities are multiplied if we consider that the continent of Africa, as we speak today, losses food up to $48 billion US, yet importing food over 35 billion each and every year. When you juxtapose these two, we're talking over 80 billion in price lost, and also unemployment that has been imported and employment exported. Aspects that can never see the continent achieve the goals because of these aspects that we're not even discussing, and with the solutions juxtaposed within them. At the same time, waste recovery to clean cooking, solutions of fuel briquettes means offsetting pressure on deforestation of fuel wood, meaning lowering domestic energy costs up to 2 times compared to charcoal, addressing indoor pollution and tapping up to 20 billion a year of charcoal market with cleaner, more sustainable, more affordable cooking solutions like briquettes. These are actualized alongside contributing to multiple SDGs, including SDG 1, SDG 3, SDG 7, 12, 13, and 15 among key ones. When it comes to infrastructure, simple circularity. In a plastic subsector can see the recovery of plastic waste to paving tiles that are up to 30% cheaper than conventional concrete block, 5 to 7 times stronger than concrete foam, with the potential to mitigate up to 11 tons carbon compared to conventional concrete blocks when used in just 1 mile. This is in addition to tapping to the African plastic circularity sector, which is worth up to $8 billion US each and every year. And the construction market size is expected to grow from about 55 billion to about 71 billion in just 5 years from today. These are benefits that could be realized alongside SDG 1, 2, 13. So distinguished graduates, ladies and gentlemen, the reason I'm giving you these statistics is to show you the opportunities we have It's to show you the reality and the state of affairs of the calling of the continent today. These opportunities are yours to take. They are not someone else. And the thing I keep telling young people across the continent is that opportunities are seized. They are not given. Nobody gives you an opportunity. You seize them. But we are not told this. We are told that no, we are too late, right? But let me tell you about something today. Being young is actually a given for a certain period or amount of time. You are not going to be young forever. Age is not static. It is dynamic. 25 years ago, I was 20 years old. Today I'm 45 years. And if you don't seize opportunities, opportunities are seized when you avail yourself. The biggest ability is your availability. Distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, what I've talked about here, these opportunities will never be served to you on a platter of gold. We live in a highly competitive globe with over 8.1 billion people that are searching for the same opportunity research today. It therefore means that we need a dedicated, consistent hard work that will see us to seize these opportunities. You must therefore become ready and deliberate, self-discipline enough to embrace and do things that may not be enjoyable. As though they were enjoyable, with a firm focus on the goal to selflessly engage this aspect that I mentioned today. And I share this today with you, understanding that I grew up, sometimes we never had these opportunities to listen to people, to speak to us and tell us the truth. Today, you do have enormous opportunity with knowledge flowing each and every way. And with the knowledge you've gotten from these 6 months of this amazing program, let me leave you with these points today. And the first point you need to understand in this changing dynamic arena of a global society is you must retool your skills. If there are any lessons we must pick from the past 2 years, it should be that while emergencies may be on a global scale, they do not affect everyone equally. This reality has taught us that it is our responsibility to be prepared. And I call this diversification because the most significant security of any system is diversification, and therefore the most important enabler of diversification is your skills retooling, learning different skills, understanding that you must learn new skills to be able to diversify into new areas, to tap into these enterprise areas that are mentioned. And there is a need for structural guidance and inspiration to improve, to refine, and to align your skills, your talents, and energies. The enterprise opportunities that I described earlier that align to drive the SDGs. This is the essence of what I call innovative volunteerism, which is simple. The ability to inspire the willing people to retool their skills and turn their passions into profits. You need to leverage the time you spend online to learn new skills. And how some of the solution areas I share can be devised and launched as products in the market. You need to lobby your lawmakers where you are. We have curriculums at all levels from primary to tertiary institutions, including village polytechnics, to prioritize training on these enterprise opportunities from these environmental aspects. The second point you must take seriously is that we need to reimagine our food systems. Yes, this reimagination must prioritize one fundamental aspect, value addition. I've never understood this. We live in a continent with over 255 million citizens who go to bed with their stomach aching of hunger. And the number keeps increasing each and every day. Yet, if you were to take, for example, Nigeria, which is the largest producer of cassava globally, and cassava, I call it Africa's gold. It is a world-leading alleged free food whose global market is worth over 23 billion US dollars. It can be made into over 300 diverse products. Within Africa is consumed by over 500 million brothers and sisters, implying a lucrative continental market that can be over time. And while climate change threatens to lower yields of crucial staples like sorghum and wheat, cassava will experience the least decline by only about 8%. But this high-value climate-resilient crop has not become the norm for the continent. And yet, it's a missed opportunity. Nigeria and many African countries experience these food harvest losses with over 580 million worth of cassava byproducts annually. Yet, we do not talk about cassava as the crop, as the African magic crop that could be leveraged to reduce the dependence on wheat. If we do not take this leadership to champion what is good for the continent, who is going to do that? Takes me to the third point. We must reimagine energy systems. Most of Africa is still in an informal setting. And I've argued this every stage I have made this case, and I'll keep making it. It is not for applause. It is for intellectual reality. Because without actually standing up and speaking truth to power on issues that are intellectually driven, we will actually be judged at the end of the day. Whether we brought logic and reason to the space in which Africa's challenges to drive the SDGs were needed, or we were there just to dance to the tune of what we like to dance to. The continent of Africa's informality cannot be forgotten. The informality of Africa cannot be ignored as we discuss energy aspect. And I just want you guys to pause and listen very carefully at this point. Decentralized energy systems in the continent needs to be rethought. Decentralized energy systems such as solar mini grids are built as the cheapest way to electrify rural Africa. But what we must ask is whether electrification alone is enough. Let me repeat. What we must ask is whether electrification alone is enough. I've not heard a single African ask this question. Because we know the answer, which is that this should go beyond just providing light to homes and to prioritize powering income-generating uses, especially agro value addition to unlock enterprise opportunities, from value addition that will enable communities to afford lighting. For example, what about electrification in a community where a mother cannot even buy a light bulb? People will need income sources. Powering enterprises therefore become important, especially in the agro value chain. And this is quite very, very instrumental. The other aspect is to reimagine finance, because we must reimagine finance. The informal sector that constitutes over 80% of the entire African continent engages over 80% of the population, including 80% of the youth. This informal sector represents an over 300 billion lending gap that remains untapped by formal financial institutions. Why? Because of perceived high risk. It therefore means engaging these financial structures is critical to reaching them in a low-risk way, and therefore we must leverage what I call local structures of cooperatives, invest in solutions like fertilizer production, like briquettes that I did mention earlier on. These are very, very important. And the last aspect on these key pillars that you need to take forward is data. Why do I say data? Data is king. Data is vital. We must understand that without data, you will not be able to go that far. Why do I say this? Success stories are the only thing that moves people, no matter how good, brilliant, or excellent your ideas and actions are. Without verifiable proof of grand successes by bringing the data, which is the only premium you have to make objective call for targeted incentives to take anything you do forward. But with all of this, you need what I call soft aspects. And the first soft aspect is for you to turn false narratives. There is profound power in the narrative, because prevailing narratives we see today are what shapes people's thinking. And such thoughts directly determine the quality of citizens we have. Albert Einstein once said that, who is an iconic genius once said, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it was stupid. Across Africa, Africans sometimes are presented as people who are too materially poor to do anything, even to generate ideas. That's a false narrative. The truth is that we have to use what we have to get what we don't have. Unfortunately, we have embraced these false narratives for so long that they have become part and parcel of us. It is time to shun them. The other aspect is, don't fear failure. We are all going to fail. As you take the path of selfless solutions that is least traveled, remember that your path will not always be smooth. You will make mistakes. You will falter, and you will sometimes deviate from your intended course. However, these moments are not setbacks, but opportunities for learning, opportunities for growth. Winners are failures who never quit. To win, one must fail forward. Failure is not a stop sign, but a rerouting sign, a sign that you need to change approaches and tactics. Mistakes and failures are the beginning of success. Build this kind of mindset, and you will overcome any difficulty you come across in your entire life. Success is only 1% ideas, but it's 99% doing. The third aspect you need to take is to cultivate passion. Passion is the new currency of now. Let's call the passion is the new currency of now. Give ideas to a passionate person, you turn those ideas into trillions. But give money to somebody who is not passionate. He squanders the money and nothing works. But remember, you will not always have money all the time, but you can always have your passion for doing that which generates value to you as you move forward. The fourth aspect on this soft aspect is to train the mind. The most innovative country in Africa is ranked 45, the 45th globally. And this reality reflects what I call where has it worked mentality, which Africa suffer from. What it means is that as Africans, we tend to prefer replicating what has worked elsewhere instead of initiating our own solutions. We do not believe in ourselves. Many innovative ideas are often made with the question, where has it worked? Which tends to be self-defeating. The only way to get ahead is to pioneer solutions, which is what we urgently need in Africa today. And for this, we need to train the mind. We must take deliberate steps to train the mind by starting with what we have and building on it, not waiting for perfect circumstances. And this is what I call training the mind to believe. And by doing this, we will showcase that we can produce what we can. And this will generate not just faith, because faith is a belief that we can be able to do the ordinary and get the extraordinary. And it is what we do that can inspire hope in us. Remember, it's not a strategy, but faith in ourselves, that we can believe that we can do it. And do it to see the result today that will inspire us to do it more. And that becomes hope. That will generate more successes. But graduates, remember that just as diamonds are shaped under pressure, so are you. That's my challenge to you today is this. Dream big, but go beyond dreaming. On those dreams, make plans, set goals, elevate the achievements of your goals, and evaluate them, and make necessary changes to the pace of work to ensure timely progress in achieving them. As you aim high, do not do so only for yourselves, but for the world and for future generations, and act with purpose, with conviction, and understanding that your decisions can and will shape not just your community, not just your country, not just Africa, but the entire world. So I call on you all today to learn from the African SDGs mentorship program and put selflessness and the pursuit for solutions that touch many lives first. And let what I've shared today inspire you towards becoming a selfless solution provider. That is a smart way of investing in your future, because in the words of an insightful African proverb, giving is not losing, rather it is keeping for tomorrow. Thank you very much and congratulations.
Awesome. I hope you are celebrating Dr. Richard already. This is super loaded. Thank you so much, Dr. Richard. I mean, you've just giving us a mind-blowing inspiration, and I'm going to leave with this word that passion is a new currency now. It's not just about, it's good to make profit. But when you see passionate people, they get to scale up projects productively. Thank you so much. And many words which Dr. Richard has said. And definitely, you are still going to hear back from this, from the fellows before you go. I know you are also trying to, definitely you are going to be joining some other meeting. And I can see a lot of thank you. This is so